And hello everybody and welcome back to the Moonlight channel, and today I do have a special review for you. This will be a review for the two new Persona games that have come out, Persona Dancing Moonlight and Persona Dancing Starlight. So I had my first share of playing time with both of those games, and I just want to express my feelings and thoughts about it. Like always, my reviews have 4 different sections, meaning story, gameplay, performance, and fun. I grade basically all 4 of those categories, and then I just add them up together and give you a final score for everything. Alright, well, let's take a look at them and see how they did. To be honest, story is one of the biggest things that I look for in a Persona game. All of the Persona games have always been very strong about these type of gameplay. You know, story is always the most important thing. They put a lot of effort into it, which you might come as a surprise as how this game managed to not do that. Some of my favorite parts of the Persona games are usually how they build the game around the different characters, how they develop these characters, how they give them the different motivations and everything. However, in this particular game, they don't do that. They actually drop stories altogether and they switch this to a new system, which is a social system. In previous games, they are divided into the social links and the regular everyday life and pretty much different stuff. Now, the social in these games is not as I expected to be, or the story rather, because there's no story. Instead, what you get is these little bits and pieces that they do, in which you interact with the different characters. Each character has a 5 story arc rather or 5 social aspects that you could go through. Each one of them is unlocked by the different dances that you do and everything. Overall, this was quite a bit of a disappointment. There's no character progression or anything like that, and these bits and pieces are just meant to be informative in a sense, but also kind of just fillers while you're playing the game. Kind of like the main drive for you to be able to unlock these things is for you to play this many songs or do this many things or so on, you know. So in a sense, these are the things that you're having to do in order in order for you to play more on the game. So unfortunately, I did not like this. This was not a good substitute for the stories on the social link. It does not feel like it works correctly or coherently. Overall, it is very, very nice to see previous characters that you see from the other games, such as, you know, everybody from Persona 3, which is an older game, and now with the Persona 5 characters, which I know there is a lot of people that are very excited to see them again. But I didn't feel like there was enough there for me to feel like there is a cohesive story or anything like that. I don't think the social new way to do it was the right way to do it. I think they should have stuck with what they did, with the previous Persona Dancing game. Right, so I give it a 6 out of 10 in this aspect. Like I said earlier, not something that I was looking for in a Persona game. Now, overall, you will expect that a game like this, which didn't focus a lot on story, will focus more on gameplay, and this is what happens with this game here. Sega, who is the one producing this game particularly, is very focused on these kind of games. Sega makes a lot of Hatsune Miku games, so they're very experienced on this, and in Japan especially, they are very famous. They make so many of these games, and if you go to arcades, you'll usually find so many people playing these games. So rhythm games, while not popular here, they're very popular in Japan. And overall, I've played a lot of these games myself, so I can tell you for sure the way that I feel about it and everything. These games play exactly the same way. All of them play alike. You'll see in the screen here how the different buttons are going forward, and you just have to press with your controller, right, goes and everything. So that feels pretty tight overall. I feel like they got it down there. The different difficulties do go from one to the other one. Easy feels easy, normal feels a little bit challenging for me, and then obviously hard is going to be hard. So yeah, so as far as that, they have that hands down to the T there. However, I do want to point out that not all the songs always hit right on the mark. And what I mean by that is because this is a rhythm game, it is supposed to be following something, whether it's a rhythm or the melody or something like that. However, some of these songs, for some reason, it just doesn't follow the music, or it just doesn't follow what it is. Sometimes it follows the melody, sometimes it follows the rhythm within the same song, and this can be confusing and frustrating at times, because if you're feeling the rhythm down and everything, and it just suddenly changes up to going from rhythm to melody, which are two completely different things. Melody is one thing and rhythm goes completely different. It can be a little troublesome. Now, this is not the only game that does it, so I'm not going to start pretending that rhythm games suddenly change and this is the worst game ever. But it does feel at times a little bit weird. Sometimes the timing is just not right either, and I started to think that it was me. But after having other people play, and I see other people playing online, I can see that I'm not the only one that feels this way about this. Overall, it feels well and it's pretty tight, but coming from somebody like Sega that does so many of these games a year, I feel like they should have it maybe a little bit cleaner here, because like I said, overall, sometimes it follows the rhythm, sometimes it follows the melody, but doing that within the same song is just a little bit confusing sometimes. So I feel like in this aspect, maybe should focus a little bit more on one or the other, just to make it a little bit easier for people. Not easier, but just more logical. So overall, I gave this section an 8 out of 10. I think again, it's pretty tight and it's pretty good. Just here and there sometimes, and what I mentioned is not all the time, just sometimes where we switch up between one or the other, and it just makes me a little bit confused. Might be the musician in me, I do play many instruments, so maybe I'm just kind of like, oh, this doesn't make sense, going for the melody or the rhythm. So but it does happen sometime. And overall, this game played really good. As far as performance goes, I have little to no complaints whatsoever on this aspect. The game looks really good. All the character models look really good, especially the character models for Persona 3, which is a now dated game. They redid them all, they made them look really good. So overall, I really like how they look. They feel well, they look well, and I just want to say they did an amazing job with them. They brought the voice acting for most of the characters for Persona 3 and from Persona 5 as well, so that everybody sounds really good there. Now this is a rhythm game, so let's see how it went on the music department. All the music they did was remastered with I believe over 20 songs in each, maybe a little bit more than that. So overall, yeah, you get a pretty good package of songs there with a lot of replay value and everything. Of course, Atlas is probably gonna be doing DLC and all that kind of stuff, companies nowadays. But all of the remastering and all of the music sounds really good. I really like a lot of the songs that they play and everything. So you heard an example earlier. So overall, I felt like they did a pretty good job. A little bits here and there, and I think that as far as Persona 3, they did a good job. As far as Persona 5, I think they did a good job too. Maybe a little bit on the mastering on Persona 5, maybe they didn't go as well as I thought they were gonna do in some of the songs, but overall I felt they did a pretty good job. I give it a 9 out of 10. Good job in that aspect. Overall, I think that it was pretty well done in the performance department. Alright, and last but not least, we have fun. Overall, I had a lot of fun with this game, especially with Persona 3, being an older game, just kinda seeing all these characters one more time and everything. It is my favorite Persona game, so I'm a little bit biased there. And with Persona 5, seeing them again one more time was fantastic. All the characters acted really well. Everybody felt like they were on the other games. So I'm glad that they didn't do the same thing they did with Persona Q, but it kind of just changed a little bit of personalities here and there. So everybody felt really good, and I really appreciated that. However, as I mentioned, they didn't have much of a story here, and that kind of disappointed me. The social aspect of it is very small and very short, having 5 different unlockables each, which is really not enough for a game like this. This is a $60 game after all, And on the music aspect, I really enjoyed all the songs. Hearing the remixes and everything was really, really fun. But again, just not seeing all the different characters and everything. Just a little bit more on the story that really disappointed me there. But overall, I had a lot of fun, and I gave this fun an 8 out of 10. Had a really, really good experience there, but I expected more from Atlas. I guess, after so many years playing these games, Persona games, I expected just a little bit more there. Alright, so you have finally heard all my feelings on the different categories that I mentioned earlier. So I'm just gonna break it down one for you one more time and then give you a final score. So let's just get started with that. So for the story, or rather lack of a story here, I give it a 6 out of 10. Very, very disappointing coming from Atlas here after such a great game as Persona 5. I think that Persona 5 was one of the best Persona games they ever come up with. So seeing Persona 3 dancing in Moonlight and Persona 5 dancing in Starlight was very disappointing to see that they have no story. They did change it to the social route, which is basically like a really small version of the social links from the previous games, but it is not enough content. It's really not. I personally don't feel that it's worth the $60 price for each individual game, being that this has such a small amount of cutscenes in each one of them. So yeah, regarding gameplay, I gave it a 8 out of 10. Overall, the game felt pretty well, but with misses here and there, especially in the controllers and everything, just didn't feel like it was made good enough, especially coming from somebody like Sega, which published this game, thinking that they publish so many music games every year from Hatsune Miku and those series. So looking back at it, I think they could have done a better job at it. And then at performance, I gave it a 9 out of 10. Like I said, overall the game performed really, really well. It looked really good. The music was pretty well made, pretty well mixed. So overall, I felt like it was a pretty good experience here. And then at phone, I gave it an 8 out of 10. Overall, I had a pretty mixed experience with this one. I had one big part of me. I'm a huge Persona fan, as you can tell. And so I was very excited for this game. So in this aspect, I really did enjoy seeing the character of some Persona 3 again, and then seeing the Persona 5 characters one more time, just seeing them, it was very fun. I really loved the interactions with everybody, and it felt really, really good to see them once again. So overall, I felt like that was there. However, like I mentioned, the thing about the story and the gameplay and everything did lower a couple of the points there. So again, 8 out of 10 on fun. So overall, that score comes out to be at 7.75 out of 10. I'll just leave it at 7.5 out of 10 here. It's definitely an okay game. Seeing how Atlas did this game here was a little bit disappointing for a fan like me. I expected more from them, especially in the story aspect. Really, that's what really hurt the game overall. Because even on other side spin-offs, like the previous dancing game that they did, Dancing All Night, or maybe the Persona Q, or even the fighting games, they have tried to stick with a story, to kind of add a narrative, a reason for them to be there or whatever. This game just throws that out of the window, doesn't even attempt to do that. So in a sense, I didn't like that. I felt like it could have been just better to find another excuse, maybe like they did on Persona Dancing All Night or something like that. Would have been a little bit better. And overall the interactions of the socials doesn't feel like if it's enough content for what you pay for, especially $60 each separate game is definitely not worth the money. Even if you're a huge fan, at $60 each just didn't feel right for me. Now I did buy the edition that comes with both games and Dancing All Night for $100, and I believe that is the right price for it, because if you divide each one of those games, so you have 3 games and you divide it by 100, so you do get a much cheaper game and 3 different experiences for the price of $100. So that's the only way to do it right now. Overall, I felt like if you're a huge fan, you might be disappointed, but if you just can't wait, go for it. Like I said, it's not about game. It's not about game. The gameplay is really fun, and if you love rhythm games, this might be the game for you. I like rhythm games, so it's not my favorite type, but I definitely like Persona, so I'm willing to give these games a chance and everything. I played many of the Hatsune Miku games and everything, so I know how rhythm games work and everything, and I do enjoy a lot of them. But coming from a Persona franchise, I did expect it a little bit more. But yeah, you heard my thoughts on all that. What did you think about the game yourself? Have you played it? Have you not played it? Did you like something specifically, seeing all the characters, especially for Persona 3, felt really, really good seeing them again. All the character models look really, really good. Hopefully, maybe later in the future they can do just a revamping of Persona 3 or Persona 4. I would like to see something like that. But yeah, those are my thoughts and feelings over all, as a fan and everything. I hope I wasn't too harsh on the game, and I was trying not to be too harsh on the game, because I do feel like there are some strong things here, especially how the models work, how this music is really well mixed and everything. So definitely there are some good spots, but at the same time I expected a little bit more from Atlas and overall the Persona franchise there. Hopefully the next game won't disappoint. Persona Q is around the corner, the second game coming out soon. So yeah, you heard my thoughts on that, and thanks so much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.